My name is Peniel E. Joseph. I'm a professor in the School of Public Affairs and the Department of History, and the founding director of the Center for the Study of Race and Democracy. I used to teach at Tufts University in Boston, and I was recruited here, really a combination, the Barbara Jordan Chair, a chance to be in public affairs and history, a chance to expand and amplify the impact of my center, which is a center that's interested in research at the intersection of race, democracy, inequality, and that's whether it's voting rights, criminal justice reform, entrepreneurship, wealth building, social justice, what have you. I do so much work on civil rights, Black power, that President Johnson had been a president that I wrestled with, the Great Society.
The Nation of Islam was one of the first Black organizations, religious and political, that tried to focus on people who were incarcerated and tried to make the argument that people who were incarcerated should not be thrown away, and were not grotesque, disgusting people who society should shun, especially the Black people, which is a radical perspective, okay? Because we usually think people who are incarcerated are guilty and they should be punished, but especially Black people who are incarcerated, because the way in which the criminal justice system works, it works differently based on the body you live in.
I teach a course on mass incarceration, which looks at, just the criminal, what Mariam Kaba calls the criminal punishment system, and how that system has just marginalized and denigrated Black people until it all exploded last year with the murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and so many others. I teach an undergraduate seminar on Barack Obama and American democracy, which is a 350 course, and it's sort of a writing seminar with a lot of different flags. I think there's 3 different flags in that. And I also teach a undergraduate signature course on Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr., which was inspired by my most recent book, The Sword and the Shield, The Revolutionary Lives of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr.
So all, like I said, it's complex in the sense of it all happens at the same time. And like I said, what a lot of people want is just one. They want you to say, this was all bad or it was all good. And I get it, that's how people work. But it's not how it worked. It didn't happen like that. And that's why some people love, and we'll close, this idea of empire. They're saying, look at all the stuff that was built. We built up this university, we built, here, and then other people are going to say, well, here are all the people who had to work to build up the university who didn't get access to it, right? And all of it happens at the same time.
Being a Black professor at a PWI, predominantly white institution, it has its challenges because one, our Black students are not represented at UT as they are demographically. We're about 11-12% in the state. There's actually more Black people in the state of Texas than any other state in terms of by aggregate. And so Black students have even bigger demands, I think, of Black faculty at a PWI, a better relationship with the community, which is beginning to try to do through the DDCE and other efforts. So I think it's got its challenges, but I also think it's got its positives in terms of opening up these spaces for Black history, for Black culture, for Black equality, teaching white students and non-Black students, so our Black, Indigenous, people of color here who are interested in seeing the overlap with Black and Latinx and Asian, South Asian, white, Indigenous groups as well. I definitely encourage non-Black students to take classes like this, classes at the intersection of Black studies, history, public policy, sociology, women's studies. I think it's hugely important. Black history is American history, as we've seen unfold all around us. When you think about fires of frustration or discord in Ferguson, Baltimore, but just last year, 15 to 26 million people came out in the streets. To find out why, it's important to understand the history, right? So the past isn't the past. It really is sort of living and breathing with us. And so if we're ever going to change outcomes and have more just outcomes, you have to know this history. So it impacts non-black people, people of color, but white students as well, and their futures as well. So there's really a number of different student orgs, academic connections, community-wide connections as well, where you can find out more and get involved.